Alright guys, I'm back to the business. As you can probably tell from my accent, I am not a native speaker. But today I'm gonna try to answer one question that you might have been asking yourself for a very long time. That is, why can I understand English, but I still can't talk to others fluently? My goal for this video is not to teach you some hardcore techniques or some fancy expressions. I just hope by the end of the video you can get some inspirations. You don't necessarily have to spend a lot of money on courses, on tutoring. All you have to do is change a little bit in your mindset, because once I fixed this one thing, it really helped me to do better in school and to get ahead in my career. And most importantly, my confidence started to grow. I started to enjoy having conversations with people. You know, my job is to help people from all over the world with their money, with their taxes. So communication is kind of my bread and butter. But before that, just to be clear, I'm not here trying to brag or flex about my English. It's so far from perfect. I know that. There are tons of people who speak better English than me. In fact, when I started learning English, I was so frustrated. There were moments when I literally cried in front of a lot of people because I was so bad at it. So trust me, I've been through the exact same thing that you are going through right now. So in this video, I'm going to share what exactly I've done and how you can fix it too. Okay, so let's talk about the real issues here, the real problems here. When I got serious about learning English, that was about 23 or 24 years ago. I was in high school. I've been learning English for 5 years at the time. Simple conversations, no problem. But expressing myself, my thoughts, totally a mess. Sound familiar? I guess a lot of us learned English for years, but still we struggle to speak. We struggle to talk to others. That's because most of us were trained in a system that's so focused on input-based learning. You know, listening, reading, that sort of thing. We're given so much, but all we do is basically trying to download the information into our brain. Of course, it's not gonna work. Tons of research shows that this method is not really effective. You see, English is a language. It's all about speaking, writing. It's all about outputting, right? That's where the actual learning happens. I'm not saying you shouldn't be doing listening and reading, but personally, I believe the ideal balance should be around 30% of input, like listening and reading, and 70% of output, like speaking and writing. We need to use the language a lot more than we're doing right now. So how to practice this output thing, especially without a study partner? You know, back in school, I was doing all the typical things. Reading a textbook, listening to tapes, watching movies on a DVD. It's like input all the time. I was just absorbing stuff passively. I wasn't really practicing. I'm not getting any progress. So here's what I did. After reading a line from a book or from a movie, I'll write them down. This is the line I want to learn. I'll check the meaning of each new word and make sure I can pronounce them. I don't bother to remember the spelling. And then I would try to repeat the line from one word, then 2 words, then 3 words, and then the full sentence. And instead of trying to memorize how the words are spelled and how the grammar works, I just repeat the whole sentence dozens of times until it came out of my mouth fluently. The reason this works is, first of all, English uses different muscles. Right? So it's all about training our mouths to move in a new way. Secondly, I almost never try to memorize the spelling and how the grammar works, you know, the formula and stuff. None of that. They'll come naturally when you repeat it so many times. Just like kids can talk before they can spell, before they know any grammar. We learn to speak by mimicking others talking, not by memorizing some sort of grammar or spelling, right? If you watched any of my videos before, you probably heard me talking about active recall, you know, self-reflection. Basically, what you're gonna do is you'll ask yourself some questions about what you've just learned. Like, where would I use this sentence? In what situation? And why? Can I replace some of the words and make it into a new sentence? And then try to answer them in your own words. Or simply imagine you're explaining to someone about this new sentence, about this new information you've just learned. This is one of the most powerful ways to learn basically anything. Because if you can't explain what you've just learned to others, you probably didn't learn it yet. And this practice really wires my mouth to my brain, and it forces me to think in English, and it really prepares me in using this new line in a real life. I know this is not a perfect way of learning a language. You can see the downside of doing this alone. No one was there to correct me, right? I don't get feedbacks on grammar, on pronunciation, on vocabulary. Basically, there was no one to tell me, okay, you made this mistake, you need to change. Honestly, it's really hard to get every word and every sentence right by just, studying alone. It's not impossible, but very hard. Especially back then, all I had were some tapes and a dictionary. I just had to trust my ears. So just like learning anything in life, we do need feedbacks to grow faster, to grow better. And obviously, when you're learning a language, the best feedback always comes from the native speaker. But the good news is, nowadays you can literally copy and paste a sentence and get the correct pronunciation, the right tone, or even the accent that you want. So this is how I learned English, by using these output-based learning techniques. I think this method is brilliant. For someone who doesn't want to physically memorize hundreds, thousands of words, formulas for grammar, it worked really well for me. And I think the logic behind this is not only for English. In fact, even now, whenever I read a book or learn something new, I'll tell Michelle about it. If she's not around, I'll ask myself questions like, what did I really learn here? How do I apply it in real life? Can I explain this to someone else? Like I'm explaining to a friend, which by the way, is what I'm doing right now. Yeah, that's you, my friend. It's mutually beneficial, right? I got to review the knowledge, the information I get. You got to listen to what I find out. By the way, if you are someone who maybe work a 9-to-5 job, if you are still in school, and you also want to learn some new skills, so stick around. I've got more coming on that topic on this channel in the future. So what else should you know about this output-based learning techniques? Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, don't worry, nobody will judge your English, nobody will judge you, when you are trying to output. Let's face it, people will judge you. People will make fun of your English, your accent. But honestly, most people who judge, they probably can only speak one language. They may never step out of their comfort zone. That's why they will judge. So why should you let their opinion hold you back? Honestly, after 20 plus years, living, studying, and working in different English-speaking countries, I've seen so many non-native speakers succeed in their school, in their careers, with imperfect accents. So that's why I never get stressed about my accent or my pronunciation. Because at the end of the day, it's all about if you can pass a clear message to others, if your logic makes sense, if you feel good and confident about yourself, if you love your accent and people can understand you, that's amazing. If you wish to improve it, that's also amazing. The most important thing here, I think, don't wait to be great before you start. You've got to start to be great. Just show up. Just start outputting. And finally, don't forget to have fun. Communicating with people is fun. And you know what? When I decided to make a change to improve my English, the goal wasn't noble or academic. I just didn't want to spend the next 10 years learning English only to still not be able to use it. And the funny thing is, the more I started enjoying the process, the more motivated I became. The joy kept me going. I would say the same applies to a lot of things in life. Those early frustrating days, the one where I cried because I couldn't memorize those words, or some of the grammar made no sense at all to me. Now, those are beautiful memories and funny memories. So keep going, have fun, be curious, be silly, and be proud of yourself. And most importantly, don't forget to do the output. Talk out loud, write stuff down, and share whatever you have just learned. And probably tell us about your story, right? You've got more in you than you think. So I hope you pick up something from this video or podcast, whatever you want to call it. And I have something on the stove, so I have to take care of. But I'll talk to you in the next video.